quadruped or bird dog, depending on what you want to call it, but we're going to be on all fours. And we're going to use a yoga block once we get the position established to make sure that we're keeping a neutral pelvis and we're not, moving side to side and or tilting our pelvis one way or another. So we want to make sure when you do the form is everything. So we're going to make sure that our hands are screwed into the floor. Just move it so that you can see me. Hands are screwed into the floor, right? So we're kind of turning the inside of the elbow forward and our gaze is somewhere here. So we're not lifting our head and we're not dropping our head. So we want that nice neutral spine. Crown of the head is going nice and long through the top. And we want to adjust our hips accordingly. You can either curl your toes or leave them. This is a little bit easier to maintain some of that form in through that stabilizing hip. Make sure that when we do this, you start in a progression of lifting one leg out and then bringing it back down. Once you feel comfortable with alternating the legs, then you're going to alternate one leg and one arm at both separate times, and then bringing it back down. One leg, really push through that glute and heel, maintaining neutral here, lift up so thumb is up. Once you get one at a time, then you can break it down to both together. Now this is when you get going, you're going to want to maybe place that yoga block and just make sure that your hips feel even. So we don't want to create any tension just to make something look good. So if I tend to be a little bit more posteriorly tilted and it doesn't look necessarily the same as the person who's a little bit more anteriorly tilted, that's fine. The thing that you want to feel is neutral. So there's no awkward tension one way or another, okay? So placing that yoga block on that S1L5, we're going to be here, maintaining that neutral. Breathing out as you reach away. As you breathe out, you're pulling that core in nice and tight, but keeping the pelvis and the shoulders nice and neutral. Shoulder blades are back and down, pressing into the floor, grabbing the floor with the fingers so that it's taking the pressure off the center of the wrist, right? Once you get really comfortable with this, right, 15 per side I think in a row, you're going to come in and go here and do one side at a time for 10 to 12. Take a little break if you need to, and then 10 to 12 here. Notice that the block hasn't fallen off. I'm really feeling that I could tilt for one side, but because I have the block here, it's helping me maintain that neutral spine and not allowing me too much rotation. Rotation is good, but we'll work on that in a separate as we progress. So we want the foundation, we want that stability, and then we'll progress into more rotational and mobility type movements after we get the foundation.